She used to fall asleep with her hand in a minute till I found out those hands were busy texting someone else after I drifted off. "You're my world," she said, while telling him she wished I'd just disappear. "My name's Eric. I'm 34. I live in Portland, Oregon, and I run a small but steady freelance web design business from home. I'm not flashy, not the loudest guy in the room. But I'm solid, loyal, the kind of guy who remembers anniversaries, picks up extra toilet paper without being asked, and keeps the coffee pot warm just in case she's having a rough morning." That she was Haley. She's 31, works in communications for a local nonprofit, one of those people who's always organizing food drives and tweeting about social justice. We met at a friend's Halloween party 3 years ago. She was dressed as Wednesday Addams. I was a sad excuse for Jon Snow, complete with a Dollar Tree sword and a thrifted faux fur cape. She made fun of my costume and then kissed me after the second beer. It started off warm, easy. We didn't do the usual dance. It was like we both just ... landed in each other's lives. We moved in together after 8 months. At first, everything was cozy and domestic in the best way. We made breakfast together, laughed over dumb Netflix documentaries, and even adopted a cat named Clementina, cranky little furball, who only liked Haley and somehow still slept on my face. We had our shows: Better Call Saul for intense nights, The Office when we just needed a laugh. She had a Spotify playlist called Home With You that she swore was just ours. Every weekend, we did the Saturday farmers market, then came home and cooked. I'd chop onions while she danced barefoot in the kitchen, pretending to be on a cooking show. But you know how silence creeps in? Not the comforting kind, the hollow kind. It started with her staying later at work, then came the dead tired nights where she went straight to bed, turning away without a kiss. The Spotify playlist stopped getting updated. She turned her phone face down more, I noticed, but I didn't panic. I told myself it was stress, deadlines, burnout. There were nights when she'd sit on the couch scrolling, smiling to herself. When I asked what was funny, she'd say, "Just a meme." I didn't push. I trusted her. That's what you do when someone tells you you're their whole world, right? I remember one night vividly. We were watching something I don't even remember what. Her phone buzzed. Just once. But she snatched it up so fast, like she was afraid I'd seen it before she did. I joked, "Secret admirer?" And she laughed. But it felt forced. Her fingers were trembling slightly as she texted back. I saw it. I didn't say anything that night. She fell asleep in my lap, and I just sat there, staring at the darkened screen of her phone on the coffee table. I didn't touch it, but the instinct was there. It's like a splinter you can't ignore. It was subtle at first how the distance grew. The little things we shared stopped being ours. Her laugh changed. It wasn't open anymore. It was shorter, tighter, less full. The worst part. I could feel something was wrong, but I still clung to every scrap of warmth she gave me. One morning, she texted me while I was at the grocery store. "Love you. Always." I smiled like an idiot in the cereal aisle, but the cracks had already started. The day I saw the message previews on her lock screen, just 3 words. "You up?" from someone named Jay I knew. I didn't even need to open the phone to feel my stomach turn to stone. Something was deeply and heartbreakingly wrong. The name Jay became a ghost that haunted my every moment after that night. I didn't even confront her immediately. I froze. The human brain does weird things when you're heartbroken in slow motion. It tries to protect you by pretending everything's normal. I went home, made her favorite veggie stir-fry, and smiled when she walked through the door. She kissed my cheek like nothing was different. Like she wasn't sending emojis to someone else while I bought oat milk and frozen berries for her smoothie routine. That night, I lay beside her and pretended to sleep while she whispered into her phone in the bathroom. The light was off. The door was cracked open just a little. I could hear her voice, a soft, giggly whisper I hadn't heard in weeks. It wasn't meant for me anymore. The next morning, her phone was gone from the nightstand. When I asked, she said she left it in her bag because she didn't want to be tempted by scrolling first thing. Clever. And believable if I hadn't seen her texting Jay past midnight. The gaslighting started soon after. Subtle, surgical, I'd say. Been kind of distant lately. And she'd smile that tight smile and respond, "You're being weird." Nothing's wrong. I asked her why she didn't want to cuddle anymore. She laughed and said, "You're so sensitive lately. Everything okay with you?" When I told her I felt like she was hiding something, she shook her head and said, "Why? Are you so insecure all of a sudden?" That one hit like a gut punch. I started second-guessing myself. Maybe I was being needy. Maybe it was work stress. Maybe I needed to stop looking for something that wasn't there. But something was there. I could feel it, smell it. The scent of cologne on her coat that wasn't mine. The new passwords she added to her phone. Her sudden interest in boundaries and needing space. One Sunday, I caught a glimpse of her home screen while she was doing laundry. She had a new messaging app I'd never seen before, one she claimed was for a volunteer group chat. I downloaded it the next day and made a burner account. I didn't find Jay immediately, but I found Haley under a different username. One she thought I'd never guess. She hadn't blocked me. She just assumed I'd never think to look. When I saw the group icon, Jess to People Lee knew I'd found it. Their chat history didn't go back far, but what was there was enough to crack something deep inside me. Miss you already. Wish you were here instead of him. Can't wait for next weekend. Next weekend. She told me she was heading to Bend to see her cousin. Said it was a girls' weekend spa day. Hot springs, wine, the usual. She even showed me the Airbnb listing. I copied the name from the chat and looked it up. It wasn't in Bend, it was in Seaside on the coast. Couples retreat, romantic getaway packages, candlelit dinners. A suite with an ocean view. That was the night I stopped crying and started planning. I didn't tell her I knew. Not yet. But I needed more. I needed to understand just how far this had gone. Whether I was living with a stranger, or if the woman I loved still existed underneath the mask she wore now. I started going through our shared iCloud account. The one she forgot was still linked on my iPad. Old photos, notes, calendar invites, and there they were. Dinner with Jay. Call after. E sleeps. Pick up wine for beach trip. I stared at that little heart emoji for 20 minutes. I kept asking myself the same question. Was I not enough? Or was she just too much? I started saving screenshots. Back. I created a folder called Truth. It sat on my desktop like a bomb waiting to go off. And then, like fate had a sense of humor, she came home one night and kissed me like she used to. Said, "You're my whole world, Eric. I love you so much." I nodded, smiled, but my hands were shaking because I'd seen the truth. And I knew she was lying through her teeth. I didn't sleep that night. I lay in the dark, staring at the ceiling, while she softly snored beside me, completely unaware that the man lying inches away from her had seen everything. Every text, every photo, every lie. I wasn't angry anymore. Not in the screaming, red-faced, punch-a-wall kind of way. I was cold, quiet, focused. I spent the next few days perfecting my plan. I started with the photos, the selfies she'd sent him. The heart emojis, the candid shots of them holding hands in what looked like the exact suite she claimed was for girls. Only, I matched timestamps. I dug through our shared calendar. I even checked credit card transactions on our joint account. Turns out, I'd unknowingly paid for part of their weekend. That felt poetic, fitting even, like betrayal should cost something. And in a way, it already had. I reached out to her cousin, just a casual check-in, nothing suspicious. She responded, confused, "What trip?" "I haven't seen Haley since New Year's." Got it. I printed everything. Screenshots, receipts, chat logs. Laid them out in order like puzzle pieces, paper-clipped into sections. Labeled neatly with sticky notes like I was prepping a court case. Because I kind of was. She had a big work gala. Coming up fundraiser for her nonprofit, fancy downtown venue, black tie. She'd been talking about it for weeks. Said it was important I come. Said she wanted to show me off. Said I looked dashing in a suit. The irony wasn't lost on me, so I agreed. I shaved, polished my shoes, wore the navy suit she bought me last Christmas, and I brought the folder. Didn't say anything on the way there. She chatted about donors and raffle prizes and how nervous she was about the speech. I just smiled and nodded, letting her believe for one last night that everything was still perfect. The gala was packed. I met her coworkers, her boss. Even one of the board members, who joked that Haley was glowing lately, must be love. I could have laughed. I didn't. When it was time for her speech, I slipped away and handed the folder to her best friend, Rachel, her maid of honor to be. Had we ever made it that far? Rachel was blunt, no filter, the kind of person who believed in radical honesty. "In open bars," I said. "You'll want to see this before the night's over." She opened it right there, standing by the dessert table. Her smile dropped. Her hands trembled. She looked up at me like I'd just set the place on fire. I didn't stick around to see what happened next. I walked to the front of the room. Just as Haley was stepping up to the mic, she smiled at me. I smiled back. Then I turned and left. No. Shouting no scene, just silence in the truth, finally exposed. Waiting to ripple through her carefully curated life, like a stone dropped in still water. When I got home, I changed out of the suit, poured myself a glass of bourbon, and sat on the couch with Clementine curled on my lap. My phone blew up. Texts, missed calls. "I can't believe her. You okay?" One from Haley, 5 in a row. "Eric, what did you do?" "Can we talk, please? It's not what it looks like." "I love you." I didn't reply. Didn't block her either. I just let the silence hang. A day passed. Then another. She didn't come home. Good 3 days later, I received a voicemail from Jay. Yeah, Jay. His voice was shaky, defensive. Said I didn't have to humiliate her. Said I was acting crazy. I saved the message. Because the thing is, Jay didn't know the half of it. He didn't know Haley and I had a joint savings account she forgot to unlink her card from, or that I'd already moved out half my stuff to a storage unit while she was at book club. I never confronted her in person. There was no big final scene. No yelling match or screaming closure. Just the sound of her key hitting the table 3 days later. And her soft footsteps echoing in a house that wasn't home anymore. She called out my name once, then again. No answer. She walked into the bedroom and saw the closet half empty. The note on the pillow said everything I didn't need to speak aloud. You were never alone. You just chose someone else anyway. The morning after the gala fallout, I woke up in my brother's guest room. Not in my bed. Not in our bed. No faint scent of her shampoo on the pillow. No rustling of sheets beside me. No coffee brewing in the kitchen. Just a strange stillness, like the kind you hear after a storm levels your entire street. You're standing in the wreckage, but the air's finally quiet. Haley hadn't come to the house again. I knew because I'd already packed most of my essentials and left. Took the cat, took my laptop, left everything else. I didn't want the couch we picked out together. Didn't want the framed photos from that trip to Cannon Beach. Didn't want the coffee mugs with dumb puns she found on Etsy. That wasn't my life anymore. That was someone else's delusion. I went off-grid for a bit, deleted Instagram. Put my phone on silent. I needed space to bleed. My brother let me crash in his spare room while I figured out my next steps. He didn't ask a lot of questions, just handed me a beer and said, "She was never good enough, man. You know that, right?" I didn't answer. I wasn't ready to accept that yet. I still wanted to believe the version of her that once held my hand under the stars and promised we were forever, but forever ended with a PDF folder labeled lies. I started therapy a week later. I was tired of sitting in my grief, swimming in it with no shoreline in sight. The therapist was this older guy, mid-50s, beard like a retired rock star. He didn't coddle me, just asked the right questions at the right time. What do you miss her? Or who you thought she was? Took me 3 sessions to answer that. 1. Afternoon, I got a text from Haley. "Can we talk? Please." Just once. I ignored it. She tried again the next day. "I don't want to fight. I just want closure. Can we meet? Closure?" After 2 years together, she wanted closure like it was a formality. Like she was returning a library book. She emailed me a week later, full essay. Said she was confused. Said Jay was a mistake. That I was the one she really loved, and she got scared when things started feeling too real, said she didn't know how to come back from this. Here's the kicker. She never actually apologized. Not once in that whole message. She said she wished things had gone differently, that she missed me, that what we had was beautiful. But not, I'm sorry I lied to you. Not, I'm sorry I used you. Not, I'm sorry I gutted your trust and stomped on the pieces while calling you paranoid. Just regret without accountability. I didn't respond. Not even to say goodbye. A mutual friend told me she'd tried to. Explain everything at work said. I had taken things out of context. That I'd overreacted. Classic. Turns out Rachel wasn't having it. She cut ties. So did two other friends who'd been in our circle since the beginning. The truth had rippled outward, exactly as I hoped. Haley had built her social credibility on being a good person, but now there was a crack in that facade. She kept her job, from what I hear. But her boss stopped inviting her to lunch meetings. Her image took a hit she couldn't PR spin her way out of. Poetic justice came in. The form of isolation. She didn't get fired. She got forgotten. NJ. I ran into him by accident 2 months later. I was walking out of a grocery store when I saw him sitting alone on a curb, scrolling his phone like his soul had checked out. He looked up, froze. He opened his mouth like he wanted to speak, but I just walked past him, didn't even break stride. That silence, louder than any punch. Eventually, I moved out of my brother's place. Found a small apartment with big windows and a cat-friendly lease. Clementine took a few days to adjust, but now she curls up on the windowsill like she owns the place. I still have the folder. Haven't opened it since that night. Maybe someday I'll delete it. Maybe I won't, because sometimes the proof isn't for justice. Sometimes it's just for you to remind yourself that you weren't crazy, that what happened really happened, that your gut wasn't lying to you. It's been 6 months. People keep asking me if I'm over it. I never know how to answer. That over it sounds like something you do with a cold or a bad haircut. This was a fracture in the foundation of how I love. A betrayal wrapped in whispered goodnights and fake morning kisses. But I'm okay now. Not perfect. Not healed in the clean, inspirational, quote, coffee mug way. Just ... okay. And sometimes, that's enough. There are still moments when I catch myself reaching for my phone, forgetting that there's no good morning text waiting. When I hear a song from our playlist and feel a quiet pinch in my chest. When I pass by that farmer's market we used to go to and instinctively look for her laugh in the crowd, but they're just echoes now, faint, fading. I've changed. I don't ignore red flags anymore just because I love someone. I don't confuse manipulation for passion. I've stopped believing people who only say what you want to hear when they're afraid of losing you. I journal now. Sounds lame, maybe. But writing down the truth each night, what I feel, what I fear, what I hope has helped me understand that healing isn't linear. It's a crooked path full of sharp corners and quiet victories. Some nights I cry, some mornings I smile without. Meaning to progress, I haven't dated yet. Not because I'm scared, but because I'm not rushing to fill the silence with someone else's voice. I'm learning to like the quiet again. Own voice. My own space. I think the hardest part wasn't losing Haley. It was losing the version of myself who believed in her so fully. But here's the truth. I don't want him back. That version of me bent too much, gave too much, believed too quickly, trusted too deeply without asking for anything in return. Now I move slower, but with more intention, more self-respect. She got the apartment, she got the furniture, she got the Instagram. Followers who still comment things like queen under her filtered brunch pics. But I got something better. I gotta start over, with clarity, with honesty, with myself, and one day when I'm ready, I'll love again, but next time, it'll be different. Next time, I won't need someone to tell me I'm their whole world, because I've already built mine, and I'm finally enough for it. If you enjoyed my story, don't forget to like and subscribe for more real-life stories like this.